Live from Pahrump, Nevada, the Valley of the Dirt People, it's Tech Talk Taco Tuesday with your hosts, Jimmy Lewis and Logan Tyler.
Okay, Logan is not here. This is Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. Welcome back to the show. How the hell did this happen?
I don't know. I think I told you I was coming by and you got some wild hair and called me back.
My name is
Jimmy Lewis.
And you are
Schmegma here.
It's probably my cat. You are Jorge Justice.
Right.
Yeah.
Cinco de Mayo we missed. So.
Yeah, we missed Cinco de Mayo. This is Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. We're back live. This is the show where we talk about motorcycle related products. We took a little break. The show got canceled.
A pause.
For all those that don't know, the show got canceled. The network canceled us. And there's really been a lot of canceling going on these days. So I'm doing the best I can. We have copyright violations. Terms of service problems.
Well, there's an election coming up, so we're getting bombarded with all kinds of violations.
Well, we're better than the election. In fact, we went up against like the primaries. We did podcasted that night or whatever we did.
Yeah, I know, but they're scared now, so they've trumped up all these charges against us, false things.
I made T-shirts for this show. I sent out a lot of T-shirts.
I got two. Carrie's got one. I got one.
I didn't make any money. In fact, I lost money on the whole thing, which is super awesome because
I paid for mine.
That's I'm adverse to making money.
You are. You repel money.
Repel it. So and all I asked was for people to send me a picture of them wearing their Tech Talk Taco Tuesday T-shirt in a cool location, and I got none. Zero.
Nobody sent
it back. So I'm like,
I don't remember hearing you ask because I'm in cool locations all the time.
It was in the letter that I sent out with the T-shirt.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Of course,
I didn't because I picked mine up out of the box here.
You saved me.
I didn't get your propaganda.
You saved me the shipping.
But a lot's
cost.
happened. I've done a lot. I saw the eclipse in Texas.
Right.
There hasn't been a show since then, I don't think.
Nope.
And then when was the last show? Do you know?
I got busy.
Aurora?
I got really busy. I took on a job of being the motorcycle race director for the Nora Mexican 1000. So I had to go design and map book 2,300 kilometers of Baja Peninsula. And then I had to, I don't want to call it herd cats, but there's probably better terms for it. But I orchestrated that thing, and I had a lot to learn because I went from just kind of sort of helping with the map books and stuff to being in charge of everything. And I did an okay job, I guess, but that was taking way too much of my time. So I just had to stop some other things like the show, unfortunately. But
was there an announcement of a last show or anything?
No,
like that?
it just
dropped off and nobody cared.
No. Yeah. Yes. No, what really happened was I did on the last show. I said, hey, this is probably going to be, I feel like I need to take a break. It's a lot of stuff to organize, getting the content. Like this show, we didn't organize crap. Like we were working on motorhomes today, me and you.
Well, we were at dinner till 6:45 and said, what do you want to talk about? I don't know.
That's what started. So you're working on your motorhome. I'm working on. I'm going to hop in my motorhome and take off.
To our 6 people listening, watching, whatever. Why don't you write in? What have you been doing? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So this show is 100% dependent on where you're going. I don't even know where we're live at right now. YouTube said we're live. There's some big changes on Facebook, so it's harder to go on to different pages.
Is that Meta now?
Whatever they call it. If you're not full time into this, and I'm not, I'm a guy that likes riding dirt bikes. I like sharing and talking about, because I feel like I have to pay back a little bit for all of the enjoyment I've had, riding the dirt bikes and stuff. I have a wealth of knowledge. I like to share it, but only in small doses. So I can do it for a couple hours, once a week maybe, and help out. But I in the absence of this show, I came up with a better idea. We're not going to talk exactly about it.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, it's going to be tits.
Yeah,
I think it
will be.
I have a really good idea to where I can maybe stay a little more focused, and then Tech Talk Taco Tuesday will be a little bit more interview, cool guest format. So we'll do some of the same things, still talk about tech when it comes up in the questions, and then allow the other one to do what I want it to do, and hopefully it can maybe make a couple nickels or something like that.
Victor's not in jail.
Victor's not in jail. And Victor, okay, so Victor is 100% responsible for this show happening tonight. I don't know exactly why, but I like to blame a Mexican.
Mm-hmm. It's May. I miss Cinco de Mayo.
Right. And I'll tell you what, I mean, like all you guys complaining about all the Mexicans come up here and working. I went down there and worked. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm giving it back. Right, Victor? And I got some really good tequila. Oh, speaking of which, tonight's, hold on. Tonight's tequila, fresh, illegally, evidently, brought back across the border.
Well, no, you can bring a certain amount, I think.
Right, and I was informed that I had more than the certain amount while we were crossing the border. So this is called
They forgive
Tinta Negra. No, he let me go. But he said, I thought
you were stopped for it. And
I told him what we had. He said, what are you bringing back? I go, well, a bunch of dirty clothes and 5 bottles of tequila. And he goes, how much? And I go, 5. And I go, they're like 750 milliliter bottles or what? And he goes, you can only bring back a liter per person. I thought it was 3.
I thought it was 1. But because I brought 2.
So you can
on a motorcycle once, thinking it was 2, but it's 1 per person. 40, but they forgave me on that too, and just get out of here.
40% import duty, by the way. But anyway, so you can bring 3 down. So if I want to take some fine American whiskey to Mexico, I can bring 3, but I can only bring 1 nice bottle of Mexican tequila back with me.
Right. We put those tariffs on there to save America.
Save America. So, I got Tinta Negra. This is really good, George. You would in your older days, you would have really been impressed with this one.
I'll smell it if you pour it.
Yeah,
see what it
smells
like.
I will do that a little later in the show, but everything's going good. Other than that, other than trying to tell them how. Okay, so everybody thinks I just come here and I push one button and then we're live.
Oh my God! Yeah, we're sitting. Yeah, so earlier today, we got this. He came in here and checked something. No way. Computer restarts, all kinds of stuff. Sees lights aren't. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just reboots. Clicking around on stuff, looking for. Anyway, it's just not your deal.
No, I really need a producer or some. You would think that with a professional looking operation like this, it's really just a giant shit show. You would think that we at one point we had a couple. I don't even remember. There were kids that used to come in here and they knew how to push the buttons.
Right, you had all your slave labor, and those kids were doing it good.
Yeah, that's when the show was good. But so tonight we may or may not have Matt Sutherland calling in. And if you don't know who Matt is, Matt's a rally rider. Matt is the 3-time overall winner of the Nora Mexican 1000. He was down there with me in Baja, and hopefully he called in while we were having technical difficulties.
Now, Matt's not the guy that you grew up with.
No.
Okay, no. Different guy.
That guy never got back to me. So we were going to have my buddy Roger was going to come in, and he probably just...
And I'm here in case nobody calls.
Right.
Okay.
Roger may or may not come in. I don't know. He never texted me back. But a childhood friend, Roger, started Spike Racing, which was a clothing. He made T-shirts and clothes and stuff like that. Just out of the blue, dropped by the other day, and he also said, "Hey, what happened to that Tech Talk Taco Tuesday? We used to, him and some of my older friends, they had watched that a few times and." And I showed him the set, and he's like, "Oh, I want to come on and talk about old stuff." So
let's answer some quick questions that are coming in before they get.
Okay, yeah, let's. So this is what we do. If you ask questions in the chat, I will do my best to answer them, and then you can also check with George. Right there. So I put you on the screen. Yeah. So you can check with George, who will often try to correct me, although he's never as correct.
I just listen for
It's good to see RL and Josh, Utah Desert Riders there.
Do I know any of these people? Do Victor, they know me?
They're still going. Victor is still working.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So let's see. RL says
he's been out in the desert though. I see him post a lot of pictures out at his desert place.
He's got a pad out there so he can go riding. Everybody needs one of those.
Might be his home. I don't know.
That's why I moved That's why I moved out here, so I'd be out in the desert all the time. RL says, what are your thoughts on those sponges that are stuffed into gas tanks? Do they reduce the sloshing around, or are they snake oil? So you're talking to a guy who has tested that extensively, especially on our rally bikes. And I'm someone that's picky about putting a front disc guard on my front wheel. And I felt like I felt like that affected the handling of the motorcycle, one of those bigger, oversized, like front disc rotor guards. And I'm picky about skid plates and all this stuff. The fuel cell foam, believe it or not, and we tested on the BMW rally bike. We went to a hole because we were so worried about losing the smallest amount of capacity that we were willing to go without it. And if there was a way that you could get the fuel foam to stick up on the top of the tank, which we did, it's good. So it'd only be in the upper half of the tank.
Because the bottom doesn't really matter. There's not enough in there to slosh around.
That's what we found out. But the way that they, anyways. So does it make a difference? Does it help splashing? I think so. Did I really feel it? I'm going to say on a scale of 1 to 10, it was like a 0.5. Really low return on investment is what I would say. And especially with so many different, whether you have the quality control on the foam that you're putting in there, the different types of fuels that we're putting inside of tanks, the fact that stuff can break down and that's just more crap to get stuck in fuel filters and all this stuff like that. I would say that the return on investment on that is very low. And
that's with an ultra sensitive butt dyno type of guy.
Right. It as far as handling aspects of the motorcycle, I didn't notice it. On certain tanks, it made it really hard to see where the fuel level was. It was a dark tank. Like our tanks that we were putting them inside were aluminum, so you couldn't really see. So they literally had to take the tank off and pour the gas out to measure it, where usually we could look inside of it and see.
There was a Seinfeld episode about the sponge.
There is.
I think, Elaine was determining people were not sponge worthy. Victor will probably be familiar with that. Somebody would never put a sponge in their tank. Ultra thick front tube versus standard tube with sleeve of old tube wrapped around it.
Okay, Sean. So here's again. This is just. And if everybody wonders like how I can answer these questions, it's years and years of experience. I've probably tried this before. I've watched people try different things, and I'm just pretty much no nonsense. And I say it like it is. Some people would like to have me say, you really should have known, but you don't. And that's why you're asking these questions. Ultra thick front tube versus standard tube with a sleeve of old tube wrapped around it. There is so much potential for failure and pinching with this system because the tubes are sort of designed to fill up the certain volume. And when you cut another one and then stuff it in there, you're shrinking that volume, and it gets tubes that are in there to start folding. And when they fold and then you pressure them with air, you're going to have spots that are more prone to getting pinched, because where that fold is, if you hit something right at that spot, that fold has already begun to pinch or go in a weird way. And so in the times I've seen this, and it's funny, I never did this because we were out in a trail and we pulled someone's tire apart. And you could see where, you double tubed this thing. Oh, how'd you get a flat? And you could see where it slipped between the tube and the tire, and it folded over that, the cut tube. You could see where it had been folded for a long time and it wore, and then it just got hit there, and that's where it pinched. Wouldn't do it.
And you're not you don't run the ultra thick ones anyway. You just run the heavier ones, heavy duty. For
almost the same reason that I've found that when you're running, the weight disadvantage is big, and it's rotational weight and everything. So there's a big disadvantage with the ultra heavy duty tubes. I run a heavy duty tube, which seems to help mostly kind of, they pinch less, and they're a little bit better in thorns and stuff. But the ultra heavies do the same thing. They just kind of, sometimes they don't fit inside of the tire. And more so the fronts than the rears. I don't know why the fronts are always really problematic with those, but that's kind of
I've just been lucky, and I never get flats hardly.
Well,
and when it is, it's a nail. something that's just going to spike through.
It's going to go through most anything. And the double tube may help a little bit in that sense, but I've seen more problems from it than I've ever heard success stories. So
they don't break down supposedly. I don't know. That's from RL. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What was that from? The tank stuff or the?
I don't know. Both probably. We're talking about everything.
How are wildflowers this spring? Ride slower and enjoy the scenery. Yep, it's pretty green out there right now. I noticed that coming down.
Well, it
was really green, but for the Black Death of the solar fields that they're putting in.
Oh yeah,
coming over from Vegas, and I was looking at those and so intrigued by how many of those are going in that I didn't see the river that's running.
So the flowers and stuff were amazing, and it was really spotty. It was kind of funny because it'd be an area, and then you go like 5 miles away, and then it was dry, but it was spotty. But I tell you what, when we were down doing stuff with Nora, when I went down there the very first time in December, and we got Matt Sutherland calling in, so we're going to go ahead and take this, but I'll finish my story. Hey, Matt, welcome to the show here. Can you hear us?
I can.
Awesome.
Thanks
so
for having me.
I'm going to finish telling a story. Hopefully the audience can hear you as well. Oh wait, I got a volume knob here. Which one is it? This one. There we go. So when we were down there in kind of the winter, there was the floods had just washed everything out, and the second time we came back, all the flowers came up. And I'm not kidding you that my boots, I had white boots, they were green, and I had green like roost. It looked like I'd weed whacked and some of the stuff, flowers and all this beautiful stuff. I was help spreading the seeds is what I was doing. I was really worried about when the race came. If these things freaking keep growing, that it's some of these sections that were like 4th and 5th gear really fast, we're going to be really slow, like 2nd and 3rd gear, because you know why I always tell people this, you know why the flower grows there or the bush grows there.
There's a rock.
A rock stopped the seed. You just don't know how big the rock is. So think about that the next time you blast through a bush. But Matt Sutherland, 3-time winner of the Nora Mexican 1000 overall on a motorcycle. Welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Are you familiar with the show?
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm glad you got through the technical issues there at the start.
What part of the world is Matt from?
It was Matt's Canadian. So
you up in Canada now?
I'm a Canadian, half Australian, half Canadian.
Oh, so. What part of Canada?
I live in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Oh, okay.
Which is right doorstep of big mountain range and endless riding.
North Seattle, right?
Yeah. Close to Seattle. Not as many crackheads.
Congratulations on your win.
But
thank you.
Way better riding than Seattle up there. You guys have a pretty good stash.
Yeah, it's kind of the hidden little gem of the world. Don't tell anyone, by the way.
Okay, yeah. But, we don't like talking about where specific locations, but just go to Vancouver and ride right there.
Yeah. No, it's you've just got, with all the logging and stuff they do up here, the roads that they punch into different areas it just makes it endless. So you could ride for weeks on end all the way to Alaska. I think you'd cross 2 paved roads. So we often set up. We have to get gas off ranches or Indian camps out in the middle of nowhere. And it's funny, I'll take people out riding and they'll be like, can we duck into a town or something like that? And it's like, you don't understand. Like, we are out there. There is no town. Like, it's helicopter. If something goes wrong, it's helicopter only. So I am lucky. I got friends who have a ranch up in the Caribou, and they're the helicopter outfitter for that area, and they're motorcycle nuts. So he's always said, if we ever get in a pinch, give them a call and they can long line out a bike or something like that. So,
so it's kind of like North Mexico with trees.
Yeah, exactly.
Because down there, you're in a lot of the same situations. Like Baja for instance, it's there's a lot of land in between anything that resembles civilization. So again, congratulations on the win. I will tell you, I give you crap all the time because I say that sometimes you're a little sloppy with the opening, but now after 3 years of opening my horrible road books, you're getting really good at that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's, you're the main guy to thank for that. The road books you've made have been great over the years, and this last year was just insane. All those washes and the cap bridges and everything, it was tricky. And, there was definitely times where I sort of had to slow down and make sure I was on track. And it was easily the best event I've ridden for that, and getting to open each day and trying to figure it all out with, pressure from Alexander and on day one, Scott Bright as well. It was great. So I was just lucky to get through it all. I definitely, you did get me confused in a few areas, and I gave up the lead a few times, but managed to get back on track. And
what was the scenery and terrain like? I know Jimmy's been talking about it as he set it up.
Blurry.
I bet you if you were in if Matt were to run like 5th overall pace, he could kind of enjoy the scenery. But when you're so focused on the road book and the ground right in front of you, I mean, especially when you're opening, because there's not even a track to kind of confirm that you went the right way. How many times were you there and you kind of could see like what we call the traces from our opening?
Not very often. Every now and then I'd see tire marks come in to pick up a waypoint. But I feel like you guys sort of tried to stay off the main course, especially in some critical areas. I didn't really want to trust the tracks because, knowing you, Jimmy, you probably send those tracks off in some wrong direction. So I made a point just to stick to the road book and trust my own instinct.
No, in all honesty, when I did that, because when we went and kind of verified him, I was there with Kendall, and Kendall, he likes to turn it up and everything. And there was times when he took off and just kind of, knowing that he was under no pressure, maybe he was taking some risks with the navigation. And so sometimes I would go, what are you doing? I'd follow him. So it wasn't like the most ideal way, but there were times when, like I said, I went what I thought was the best way. And then when I came back and like looked at it on the computer and stuff, I'm like, I could have been a lot better at this, going, keeping the cap a little bit more, or, going where the terrain was a little more open as opposed to just, kind of getting stuck on the route. So it's
it was super tricky in those washes with the cap averages, because there's just so, it'll say stick to main wash, but then that main wash would turn into 5 main washes. and it just, so, there was a couple of times where I'd sort of jump from wash to wash, and it was so much fun. And even day 2, when we went down through the canyon and everything, it was like Jurassic Park. It was, I didn't know there was water in Baja, and
stinky. They call that stinky water.
I definitely had my mouth shut going through.
It's brown. It's very brown. No, it's just Calamaway Wash. It's kind of famous. And the cool thing is that with the motorcycles, we're still allowed to go to some places that they're really not allowed to go with the car races. They've been very lenient with us. They've been, Nora's been really good at working with all the organizations to, I say, hey, can we go here? And they go, I don't know, but we'll check. And then they go, yeah, you're no problem. You can go there with a small group of motorcycles for a short amount of time. It's not a big deal, because most of those are like existing routes and they've been there for a while. So,
It was like this year, the road books just took us to places I would never have guessed even existed down in Baja. And it was, and with the routes as well, like I was talking to Alexander, he's pretty much grown up in Baja and he knows it like the back of their hands. So, each day I felt like he had the advantage where he'd ridden a lot of that stuff before, and he'd sort of know what roads would be taken, but he said that it worked at his disadvantage because you get off them and then that'd kind of mix him up. So it was, it was one for the books, that's for sure. I had so much fun. I'd love to see my tracking actually to kind of see how I got through it all.
Yeah, do a review. I mean, that's what, like when we train, that's what we spend a lot of time is looking at the tracking, how you did it versus the ideal. But so who we're talking about? We're talking about Alexander Smith, who's the son of Malcolm Smith, a very accomplished motorcycle rider. If you don't know Malcolm won the very first Mexican 1000 back in the day. This year, Alexander came down on a Ducati twin cylinder bike. And it was kind of funny because I didn't know. I mean, he talked to me and he said, yeah, I want to do something, but he was keeping it very secret. And we kind of thought it was a triumph for a while that he was going to come down on, because he asked me a couple questions about like, hey, what, do you think it'd be okay for a big bike? And that's why in one of my, initial things I said, hey, I would have no problem taking my Tenere down there. By the way, this podcast, I forgot to mention our sponsors, brought to you by Yamaha.
Well, I thought they dropped you.
No, we haven't been dropped by anybody. We just quit doing it. So they're probably going to drop us. But anyways, so I said, hey, I would have a great time down there riding my Tenere in this course. It wouldn't be the most ideal bike. This is for sure. But there are some sections where I would wish I would have a Tenere as opposed to, a 450 or a 500. And I'm sure on some of those long, fast roads, you were thinking the same. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, Alexander is a very good rider. And I was surprised how well that bike handled. Like, as I said earlier, I'd make some mistakes and he'd get by me and I'd sort of get stuck in his dust. But seeing that bike work was so impressive. I was sort of shocked at how good that Ducati was, and I wish he did show up on a Triumph, because it would have sort of probably put my stress levels down a little bit.
I wasn't all that surprised having raced the twin cylinders back in the day. I know what they're capable of when they're kind of designed, and those bikes are getting so much better doing that. But he rode really good. But I knew, especially like near Gonzaga, Malcolm has had a house down there and he's very familiar with the area. When we're out there riding, kind of searching around looking for these things, you could see where kind of, we'll call them the more common places where people went, the washes they all used. And I'm like, what, I would hate for somebody that's, been on a lot of tours, because a couple times, some of the guys that rode the race even last year were tour guides, or, Tim Morton runs a lot of tours and he brings his guys through certain ways. And so I tried to not go there, or if I used it, I was going to go somehow make it different. And I actually was filming. I was running around with my GoPro, and Alexander
that's right.
got really familiar with this one road. And I turned you off down a wash, and I got there and I'm like, I saw your track turn. You made the turn just right. And then I saw the other track go straight, and I'm like, oh, I got to park over here and wait here, because he'll either figure it back, he'll figure it out. And like 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later, he comes hauling ass back down the road, goes to where he should have turned and took off. And I remember asking him afterwards, he goes, you weren't supposed to turn there. And I go, no, on my course I was.
Yeah, no, so I think that helped me out. So thanks for that. But it's, we rode one stage in the morning, and he's like, oh, yeah, I was down here riding this like 3 weeks ago. I was like, you bastard. So,
right.
But just in that area. But I think it was the day we left San Ignacio, you sent us through that really tight section, and it had all the berms. It was super windy, and it was all just sand berms for like 10 kilometers. It was so much fun. You could just rail the corners, and it was super tight.
Was it up on a ledge? Oh, okay.
Yes.
It was kind of up on a shelf above the ocean.
Yep. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was I remember that, because I was riding with Kendall there, and that was, and that's the whole
bananas in that Kendall.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. When I've been able to put on like extreme enduros and different things. And even when I was building mini bike races, I always built the course or the track or the route that I wanted to ride. And I don't just want to go ride crap. I mean, even now I don't really race at all, but I go ride races when I know that race is going to be someplace that's going to be special or something that you ordinarily wouldn't get to do. And so when I put these things together, that's sort of the way. And the last 2 years when I've been involved, those weren't really my courses. Those were kind of the courses we sort of had to use just based on the way that Nora was. And I don't want to say they didn't trust me, but they didn't know me that well. And then, not this year, but last year they let me make a couple deviations. And
that's sort of, I noticed that from the first year I went and did it. It was, I'd say, sort of more basic, still super fun, but more sort of main roads and trails with not too much HP. And then the second year we had like that single track that wasn't even really single track, but we had to HP through the cactuses. And so I knew all those areas that you got to kind of have fun with the road book. And then this year I was kind of on the fence because I had some other things going on, whether I'd come down and race it. And then I heard that you'd had full run of the road book, and I was like, I'm not going to miss out on this. And it was exactly what I expected. Like, there was not an inch of shit riding in that.
Oh, there was 12 kilometers. There was literally 12 kilometers of stuff and I really tried to take it out. I tried, but it was just, we couldn't go to cross this one ranch. But anyways, no, it was I'm stoked. I'm glad. I told guys leading up to it, hey, you really want to do this because it's the course, and I think it fit a lot of different ability levels and skill levels. I was kind of surprised that a lot of the guys in the vintage bikes got to ride as much of it as they did, and it was. But next year we're gonna have a sign up early. We're limiting entries.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I've said this over and over, but this race is just going to keep growing, and in less than 5 years. It's going to be a race to sign up before,
Yeah,
so
I hope so.
Miss out.
Yeah, I just got to keep my attention span. So tell us a little bit about, so you rode a KTM RFR.
Yep. And KTM 450 Rally, which I originally rode for the first time in the Africa race, which is the original Dakar route, which is what you've ridden in the past, through those nice soft sand dunes of Mauritania. I love the bike. I'm 6'6", so I can get a bit cramped up on a standard 450, 500. So the bike just fits me. It's a lot more comfortable, and it's not as fatiguing, I find, even though it's bigger and heavier. So I actually purchased it off Lyndon Poskett after that, brought it back to Canada, and it's been my bike of choice ever since.
Yeah, you should have shipped it out here. You should have put it in Jeremy's van, and then we can get you out here to ride around with Ricky. Because
definitely
that donkey needs some help.
I'm you say the word and I'll be down there. So I was talking to Andrew Short used to always tell me about the tricks you'd play with putting tape over the caps and stuff like that. So and I love a challenge and sort of trying to figure things out. So
we need to teach Ricky how to go. We need to teach Ricky how to go back to back to back. This just winning once every few years
I think
kind of bullshit. He's out riding around on adventure bikes instead of going to Nora. I told him he could come down and do some training. I wouldn't screw with them that much because it wouldn't be allowed. But
don't give away too many of his training secrets because 6 people here.
Yeah, there's 6 people watching my training secrets.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's they've all been copied. People have seen them, and it's nothing new. It's what the interesting thing about rally, as you know, is that you have to be prepared for the unexpected, because something is going to change or be different, and you have to be adaptable, and you have to kind of know how to go back to the basics. What am I doing? I need to know how to ride my motorcycle. I need to know how to navigate, and then just kind of go from there. And I guess you need to know how to change your oil filter properly, right?
Yes. Yeah. Not strip bolts. That was panic stations. I have more steel weld on the bottom of that oil filter housing than. Yeah, it's like a tennis ball, but it held up, and God,
hey,
that was lucky.
So good we had the late start that day, right?
Oh, I kissed on the dick.
Hey, I'll bet you it was even better seeing Mike Shirley as the new race director that morning.
yeah. It was funny.
Yeah.
No, it's good. It's great to have Mike Shirley down there, the cat herder.
Yeah.
So he's great. And I think the other thing, as you were saying before, the thing with rally is too, like, people need to stick with it. Like, in the beginning, you make so many mistakes, but all those mistakes are learning, and you put all that together, and over time, you kind of build up this system in your head that works, and rally is just something that's super fun, but the more patient you are with it, the better it'll become, and the faster you'll get, and the more you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself, because I do a lot of training with guys, and they come out here, and especially when they're doing their first road book, they're horrible. It's pathetic, and it's hard to explain to them that, like, that's completely normal. Like, they're all like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna have a good time, and they're like, no, you're gonna hate yourself. You're gonna just go, yeah. I did all this training, but you're asking yourself to do, like I said, you're asking yourself to ride a motorcycle proficiently, and then it's kind of like texting and driving, but driving really fast, and the texts are just getting bombarded at you.
That's exactly how I explain it to people. It's like texting and driving at high speeds without steel around you.
Yeah.
And it's, it's, my rally sort of started. I had friends up here in Canada that talked about the Sonora Rally and these things called waypoints and all that. So, and I thought when they said, you got to open a waypoint, I thought it was like some treasure chest hidden at the top of a sand dune. And I'm like, what? That seems weird. So I went down to Pahrump and rode with Scott Bright was putting a training on there. So that's why I was kind of bummed that Scott Bright's motor blew up on day one, because, it was kind of the student versus the teacher kind of scenario. But yeah, it all started down there in Pahrump, and that's where I met Justin Morgan. And from there, where we got road books off Scott, and we went and wrote a bunch of road books without any computer systems, which I didn't know at the time, but helped dramatically, because you really have to be on it. So, yeah, it was just, you just got to put in the work and start figuring it out. And the other thing is having Rally Navigator and making your own road books as well, because then you can kind of, at a race, you can get inside the head of whoever the road book creator is. If
you've made them before, you sort of understand the tools that the person that's making it has to work with. Because sometimes I get a lot of questions. They're like, well, this road book didn't make sense, and I'm like, well, but and then the questions they ask clearly let me know that they don't understand how, the tools I'm able to use to guide them there. And even, going back that, in the older times, but when I started racing rallies, it was open GPS. I was allowed to have any GPS I wanted on my motorcycle, because they didn't do anything. You could type waypoints into the GPS. And so part of my, my map book, they give you the map books. They give you the first 6 days of map books. And part of what I had to do is go into those map books and with a key, almost like texting in the old days, but worse, because you're just using a round pad on a Garmin 3. You had to put the waypoints into your own GPS. And it would for sure point at the waypoint, but it was 150 kilometers away, and it was 3 mountain ranges that you had to go around. So you couldn't just follow an arrow. When you got close, the waypoint would help you get through some sand dunes. It would make sure you went to the gas, but it wasn't like now we have waypoints to stop you from, because now with so much technology, a lot of times you can figure out, hey, the road book goes here. Well, I don't need to go there if there's no waypoint there. So we have to put a waypoint there to make sure you go there. Or now we're making the navigation tricky enough to where you need a waypoint to guide you into that exact point so you can almost reset and be on the right track again. Because like you said, there's 5 sand washes, and if you're 2 over from the ideal one, that's not going to end well in another 5 or 6 kilometers, because now you're going to be 5 or 6 kilometers off to the side.
Yeah, and I did that exact thing in Africa. We came out onto this big lake bed, and they warned us in the morning, but I didn't really listen or whatever, and follow faint tracks, and you're at 10 kilometers and there's a well to your left, and I thought, shit, I've outsmarted everyone here. There's no tracks here. And then it was 15 kilometers to the fuel stop, but the tracks didn't kind of line up. But because of that well, I was like, I'm on track. I'll just follow the cap heading and I'll be able to see the fuel stop. I lost 2.5 hours that day. I've never in my life have I had a 360-degree view of horizon and nothing. I took my helmet off and my earplugs out, trying to listen for engines, and I was so lost. But I will never, ever, ever do that ever again. If you make a mistake or things aren't lining up, it's wrong.
Yeah. Is this was Dry Lake bed? It was in Morocco?
Yes,
I've been on it. I know. I've done the 360 degrees of nothing. It was amazing because it took like 30 minutes for you to look. You're looking at the horizon. There's nothing. And you're going for like 30 minutes. And like after 30 minutes, I started looking back and I realized there's no horizon back there either. Just keep your heading.
There's nothing out there. It is,
It could be the edge of Earth.
Wild place.
It's the part where
it could be the edge of Earth.
It's the part where you know where it's flat. That's the part where it's the flat Earth. That's where they all live out there.
I'm curious, when you're not riding, and I'm nobody, and I've just been around this. One, I thought the magic that Jimmy passed on in navigation was somehow in the taping of road books, because I watched like Andrew and Ricky in here for a long time in the mornings taping these road books just forever together. And
I don't have a
printer that roll prints, but I think that was the magic that gave him the discipline.
Yeah, and so once again in Africa or even Sonora, a few years ago, we have to get the sheets, and some you'd have to cut down, sticky tape them together, but then you'd have to go through and highlight them all and mark them all. So in Africa, it was like a 3-hour ordeal to mark your road book. So, but you could also sometimes figure out some things in tricky areas too. All right, when I get to here, I should do this, look for this sort of mountain peak, whatever the road book's telling you. But getting the road book in the morning is good because you're blind, but then road books aren't always perfect. You know what I mean? So you might say,
mine are perfect. I'm going to have to argue with you.
I remember one thing that I'll ask you about, but I remember I was sitting here with Jimmy once and he was talking to somebody on the phone. He said, "What's your cap heading right now?" And I was kind of realizing then that like guys at the top of that game are always very aware of that. And I'm curious, like when you're not riding, what kind of time, distance, speed exercises go through your head when do they, when you're going places, and is caps and all that always running through there and about how far you are going and.
Yeah, no, I definitely do that just in day-to-day riding, and especially with the degrees. If I know I'm heading north, I'm like, I'm at 0, and then I'll make a turn, and I think about that stuff all the time.
I know I was in the car with Jimmy once, and we, I had a phone or whatever, and I was asking, how far do you think that those mountains are? We're going down a highway, and he threw something out there, and we checked it with the instruments later. Conversations going on, gets distracted. I'm like, how far do you think we went now? And he spits something out, and it's right in there. I mean, it wasn't very far, out.
They call that idiot savant.
JP, no, JP.
Oh, the Jimmy positioning system?
JPS.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
mostly idiot. But
Yeah, mostly idiot. I like to rely on the idiot portion. Hey, well, I'll tell you. I tell you.
I've also learned based on sort of the speed you're at, what your braking distance is too, as if you're coming up a corner.
That's a good one.
That one saves your life. But this is the stuff we teach like in our riding school about braking distance and how to figure this stuff out. It's all experiential learning, and people learn it a little bit different. And I don't know why I have that skill. It's probably because when I was supposed to go to the how to deal with people and talk nice and whatever, and I just said I don't want to do that. I want to know how far it is to that mountain.
You didn't get that skill.
How to talk to people.
How to talk to people. Yeah, I missed that one. Hey, Kyle McCoy is asking, and Kyle McCoy is a Moto finisher in Dakar. Ask Matt why he hasn't.
An ultra marathon runner.
Yeah,
ultra marathon running extraordinaire.
Right. Ask Matt why he hasn't raced Dakar. Why is he scared? Kyle.
Kyle, I will be going to Dakar, but because I don't have any sponsorship and I pay for everything myself, I would really love that free entry from Sonora, which I kind of got a little bit robbed of last year. So let's not talk about that, but I'll be back there this year with guns blazing. Whether I get it or not.
You got to make a shameless plug of how people can fund you, and maybe one of our 8 listeners right now will pass the word on.
200 million. Slap the like button.
To go race rally. So if anyone wants their branding on my bike, I'll tell you what, it's yours.
Right here.
$10.
Yeah,
this guy.
I know a guy who's got. Well, he told me how broke he was, although he did buy me dinner. Thanks, George. I would just say that Kyle. I'm pretty sure, like most of us, he was scared of the budget. That's probably the biggest.
It's the budget, and like I also feel like I've got unfinished business in the Africa race, so I really want to go back and do that. But it's I'm also one of those people that I don't think I could ever put up like a GoFundMe. It's just not the kind of person I am. I'd just rather go to work my ass off and try and make it happen myself. But I think so. That's where if I can come up with some ideas and sell some real estate on the bike and on my jacket and stuff like that. I'd love to go to Dakar, and I'd love to do it Moto because I'd love to suffer. And I think based off who I raced in the Africa race and what the times and stuff were, I think, if things went smooth, I could do fairly decent. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Hey, one thing to check in though, check with Sonora to see if they have the Moto entry thing. I heard something about that.
Yeah, it's a point. So I read up on that the other day. So it's turned to a point system. So you need to have, because Darren mentioned that at the Nora thing. So I'm still a little bit confused by that, but they sent out a bulletin on it, and it still said if you win that class, you can get the free ticket, but you have to have earned a certain amount of points from racing FIM races, which I should easily have because I did the Andalusia Rally Africa race. Right. Even though it's a competitor, it is a FIM sanctioned rally, and then the Sonoras as well. So that's my understanding at the minute, but regardless or not, if I don't get it this year, I'm going to make it happen. So, yeah.
Right on. Yeah, that's the thing. Hey, if you need a water boy at the Africa Eco race on a twin cylinder bike, give me a call. That's something I would go.
What about Alexander?
Well, him too. I mean, you don't want that guy. He's like. He's never been on a Dakar podium. Okay, I got some cred.
That race is just like it's unexplainable how wild. like we're in northern Mauritania and it says caution, stay on track, landmines. Like you don't get that anywhere else in the world. That makes it really freaking exciting.
Yeah, they called them back. When I went to the riders meeting on the second day we were in Africa, they said, be cautious of the dangers. There's a lot of dangers. Don't get off the track because there's a lot of dangers. And then a truck blew up because it ran over a danger. And the next riders meeting, they said, oh, we have to clarify in the English meeting that dangers mean landmines. And I was like, oh, thank you. Yeah, good thing I learned something that saved my life today, not yesterday. But
yeah. Well, we got to the Mauritania border and Mike Johnson got off his bike and he starts walking over to the side of the road to take a leap. And all the security guards come running and they're like, no. And he's like, what? And then he looks up next to him and there's a sign with a guy getting blown up on a landmine. So,
yeah, you literally ride across. And this was, because we don't see this in the United States or, like for Canada, for instance, you are riding across borders with countries that are currently at war. They are literally, and so you're going across, and when you ride across one way, the guns are pointing in one direction, and you get to the middle, and the gun starts pointed at you, and you ride right past them, and they're waving and cheering just like anything. But man, that whole area in between there, I wouldn't.
That dead zone in between Morocco and Mauritania is like something out of Mad Max.
Yeah, gnarly. So. Anyways, well, hey Matt, super congratulations. I'm glad that like I said, I'm glad that you did so well. I was a little concerned when Alexander started turning up the heat there, and I'm like going, I hope he doesn't know Baja as good as he knows Baja, but I hope that my course, because it progressively got easier, the navigation I felt, as we started going farther down south, it got a little bit easier just because mostly we didn't have that much time to explore down there, but trust me, I'm going to try to figure out how to leave a bike down in Laredo or Cabo San Lucas and spend a good portion of time to find the nitty gritty down there so that.
I noticed Alexander was talking to you about a different road into Cabo as well. So that'll be interesting.
Oh, he's actually telling me
him will be able to give you some pretty decent insight down there.
Yeah, he was telling about a single track trail, and unfortunately we can't really use like single track trails and things like that. But we talked about some areas that we both explored a little bit in, and it's just there's a lot more down there that has a ton of potential, and I'm really like I said, I'm excited to be able to go down there and make the course even better next year. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have
it's gonna be great. Nora puts on such a good event. Like, at the end of every stage, you go to a different hotel or golf club or something, and there's tacos and people are handing you cold beer or water, and it's like it's such a well-run event, and with the road books to top it all off, it's just, as they say, the funnest race on earth.
Happiest race on earth. Yeah, and I want to keep it that way. I don't ever really want it to get. I mean, you guys really kept the competition solid, and I had to really pay attention to what you guys were doing because you guys were racing and going for it. But I don't want to lose. I mean, like at the marathon day when a bunch of guys what do we call it? Outside assistance.
Yeah.
and here's just for anybody that wants to know what I did. So Alexander carried an air filter all day because it was a marathon stage. And so he carried his own air filter. It was actually like a K&N style air filter. It was a little bit bulky. And before a guy checked in on the one day, his assistance team handed him an air filter. I'm like, oh, outside assistance. He was like, what? And I'm like, that's outside assistance. And it's marathon stage. You can put gas in the bike, nothing else. But we don't want to prevent people from being able to continue on. So if you had a problem with your bike, go ahead and work on it and take the penalty. And even the next morning, we allowed you to work on your bike on the clock. You take the start, and right there we had an area where you could work on your bike if you needed to on the clock. So at that riders briefing, so Alexander had carried the air filter, and he didn't know what I was doing, but 3 or 4 other guys took one guy actually grabbed a rag from his assistance team and started wiping his bike down. I'm like, outside assistance, you can't do that. And so there was 2 or 3 going in. And so I said, the next morning, I said, hey, we had a couple of guys get outside assistance penalty. And I looked at the rules, and it said the race director is allowed to make a severe penalty for outside assistance. And so I said, Alexander, you carried your air filter all day long yesterday and you put it in your bike. Like, how much time did that cost you? And he goes, and he wondered. And I'm like, no, how much time he goes, didn't cost me any time at all. And I'm like, oh, come on. He goes, no time at all. And I'm like, okay. I was using that as an example. he thought he was going to get in trouble.
You were trying to point out the effort it takes to pack it.
Yeah. But this thing, it's so.
And
go ahead.
But to clarify that, it was the stage you'd done, so he wasn't on time. But we had you have a certain amount of time to get from the finish into the
liaison. Yeah. And we build an extra amount of time in there. So if you did carry a part or you wanted to, check your bike over or whatever, you would have a few minutes in that time to look your bike over, make sure it has enough oil. If there's a problem, you can make a list of things you need to do and then be ready to do it in the morning. That would be the way you would do it. But anyway, so I said, Alexander, and he said, no, it didn't cost me any time at all. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I have to impose a severe penalty on everybody who took outside assistance. So since you got an air filter, 10-minute penalty. These guys were
like, oh.
And it was, and the penalty literally is a severe penalty up to and including disqualification. And that's not the spirit of NORA. And then even after I did that, I said, okay, 10-minute penalty. And you're not allowed to touch your bike. These guys got their road books. We handed the road books out. They walked over to their bikes and started pulling their road books out. And I walked around. Outside assistance, your bike's an impound. You can't touch your bike. I docked 4 more guys for doing the thing. It's like that's NORA.
Yeah, that's NORA. You'd have to be a real dickhead to get disqualified from NORA. Let's just say that.
This is 100% correct. You couldn't have.
But it happens.
It happens. You couldn't have said it any better. So, anyways,
well, Jimmy, it's been a pleasure, but I'm dead serious. If you're putting trainings on or anything down there, I'm there. You just say the word. And
just start figuring.
You put through some mental pain in the lead up to Dakar. That's for sure.
Oh no, we just need to train. We need to train Ricky some more things. So you'll be very helpful in this.
Yeah.
Andrew started working for the other team, so now we need some more quality people around here.
Yeah, so he's back on the rally bike.
Yeah,
so
he's you can't stop that guy from riding. He wants to. Yeah. All he wants to do is go riding, and if he's riding factory bikes, even better. So
yeah, he's the nicest guy. He's the nicest guy in the motorcycles.
Yeah. Oh, as long as you're not racing against him. That guy will slam you. I know.
Kid's got some of those skills too.
Yeah, his kid too. He's taught his kid that, and his kid tries to take me out of my own flat track. So, anyways, hey Matthew, thanks for calling in, and congratulations, and we will talk to you in the near future.
No worries. Congratulations on another successful NORA.
Awesome. Okay, talk to you soon. So everybody, that was Matt Sutherland, the winner of the NORA Mexico 1000. Awesome to have him call in and chit chat. So good time. We got a couple questions here. We're going to go back. Sean Elliott says, "I will buy a T-shirt. Allegedly I may have more, but I'm not a T-shirt salesman, and I didn't start this podcast up to sell the extra 10 that I still have." Janie just poured Jimmy a shot of really nice tequila, and she poured herself some too. Thank you, Janie.
You are welcome.
If you don't know the history of the show, I started the show in Janie's bar, which was Romero's bar, Mexican food in Pahrump, and she ran the bar there. She allowed me to come in, and this is where it started because someone said, "You can't do a podcast."
That was pretty...
Well, I showed them, didn't I?
Yeah.
Now look at me.
That was pretty rough there in front of the mariachi guy or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, we used some props and stuff like that. Chris Capazucci says, "Where can I get a TSP head in the U.S. since they're all out in Australia?" Well, since I have no idea, I'm just going to answer you and say that, let's see, if you're in the U.S., go to Canada. They're probably hoarding them up in Canada, but they're underground.
Could be hard to find.
I didn't get into it with Matt about how they live underground.
Oh, this time of year, though?
Well, that's why they go to Mexico.
They come out like Punxsutawney Phil.
Okay.
What are the little critters? The
groundhogs.
Groundhogs?
No, the grasshopper thing.
Grasshoppers? We have grasshoppers here
Locusts?
now. Mark Daniels says it's been a while, but he's back. Me too.
He hasn't missed anything.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, and it's not because we haven't done that. And Total Tech says, is that an XR100 engine? Yes, this is an XR100 engine that's right behind me. Right up there, it's hard to see. And behind George, that's a CR80 engine. And the interesting things...
Can't see that at all.
It's kind of off to the corner. You can see it in the corner of the shot. The interesting thing is those bikes both belong to Johnny and Jamie Campbell. When he was moving around, he brought these bikes that have been outside of his house laying around. He brought them over to my house, and they laid around the outside of my house down in California. And then I just drug the bikes out here, pulled the motors out, cleaned them up. And yeah. So actually, you know what? Wait a minute. Oh, I don't know. That may not be Johnny's XR80 motor. That might be a different motor that has some other stuff, crazy stuff done to it. Throw a TSP head on your 300. Let's see, because Chris says just picked up a 24 XC300. What mods would you recommend to increase the over rev? I feel like the bike signs off power a little bit too fast between second and third gear. So, Chris, I have not ridden the 24 300 XC, but I did ride the 23, I believe it was, or maybe I rode an early. No, I rode 23. I'm getting confused on my years and stuff like that. And to increase the over rev, that's a good one, because the TBI, the fuel injected bikes, they rev a lot farther, but they go flat. Like I think they program the fueling in there to make it so that you shift. They don't want you to really rev the crap out of it. So probably the easiest thing to do is change the gearing. Try just going up or down a tooth in the rear sprocket and see if that kind of helps out that kind of stuff. That would be my suggestion. And there's a couple more. Oh, Ricky Brabeck says 71 pages waiting for you, Jimbo. I got some competition for you, bud. I got Matt Sutherland's coming down, and we're gonna teach you a couple things. So bring those 71 pages down here. We'll tape them up and see where they go.
Strong tape, is that the key to winning the Dakar?
Yeah, and I need you need to buy a Tech Talk Taco Tuesday T-shirt, or we're not friends anymore. So, anyways, good on you. Hey, Ricky, did you hear how awesome of a training Nora would have been? I mean, I know you went riding adventure bikes and everything like that, but it's just like I did that already. Johnny's trying to figure out what adventure bikes are all about, and we're all good. So, and Victor wants to know if they're Playboy pages.
Playboy pages on what?
Yeah, I don't know. on the pages that Ricky has printed out.
Oh, those
ones. So, anyways, he says he'll be there next year. Yeah, put it in your budget. We're having limited entries next year. We're putting a cap on entries, so you better sign up early. And we're not doing the Mexican 500. No motorcycles in the Nora Mexican 500. We're going to full concentrate on doing the 1,000 next year. So, the other thing we should do on the show, slap the like button and subscribe. Subscribe to this channel, Dirt Bike Test.
Oh, send up likes and subscribe.
Yeah,
you're still trying to get that.
Do it on the YouTubes, because it really helps. And subscribe, and then click on whatever links we send you, because then if people think we're important. Hey, by the way, this show is brought to you by, again, Yamaha. Like I said, I wonder what place I could have got if I would race my Tenere in the Nora. I wonder, because I got video of Alexander riding that thing, and like twin cylinder bike's no joke. Like, we took them some places where it was definitely not an advantage. And I have some pretty cool videos of them. And Ducati was down there, and they had a whole crew that was filming and doing whatever they could. They got some awesome photos I saw. So they'll probably put something together. And the other person that was down there was Justin Dawes from Cycle World Magazine, and little bit close to my heart, because I was the off-road editor at Cycle World Magazine back in the 1930s, a long time ago, when the wheels were made of stone. But now Justin is actually, and we printed on this stuff called paper.
Tablets, I thought.
Tablets. Well, we etched the words. So Justin came down there with a Suzuki V-Strom 800 that he pieced together moments before the rally started. And having known the life of a magazine editor, like what you do is you say, hey, I'm going to go do this race and I'm going to do it on this bike and I'm going to make a project bike and I'm going to do this. And you're just stacking up the workload to do what you need to do to be able to go do the event so that you produce some. We used to produce pages in a magazine, but now he produces what they call content. And he worried me because having done that before, like my first Nevada rally, the first time I ever got to do the Nevada rally, and my goal was to go get to Dakar. And this was the opportunity to, hey, show some European guys that were over here that, hey, I can ride this thing. So, but I had to make an excuse. I built a Kawasaki KLR 650, which everybody was riding XR 600s at the time or 628s. And I'm like, well, I got to do something different to make it into a story. So I did the same thing. I got a big Acerbis tank for my KLR 650 and I figured out the gearing that would work and mounted up a handmade hand roll Acerbis lunchbox map book thing and proceeded to have some moments of brilliance capitalized by just utter failures, which mostly was my clutch constantly slipped on the bike and it took 2 days to figure it out because when I was pulling these tall gears, the clutch was always slipping and always generating a little bit of heat and slowly disintegrating. And I cooked like 3 motors and basically, almost tossed my Dakar dreams in the toilet because all I ended up was on the bottom of the results sheets. I had nothing good, but Justin, did really, really well. I mean, on a bike that's not designed to be doing competitive rallies, had some really good days. Unfortunately, he had one day. And so the clutch story I just told will sound a little bit familiar to Justin because on one of those long 40, 50 kilometer beach runs, he managed to smoke his clutch. And it was unfortunate because going out to the beach, he made a small navigation mistake and tried to go through some dunes that he could have rode around. And those dunes are really tough. And he got the clutch just hot enough to where it probably expanded a little bit. And then when he got on the beach, it started slowly slipping and slipping and slipping. And when he went to turn off the beach, all of a sudden his bike made 0 power because there was no clutch.
Speaking of the Tenere, Big John just entered Carson City?
That was stupid.
Well, you tried.
Everybody's trying to do
know your limitations, I guess.
Stupid things. But so anyways, Justin Dawes paper. Yeah, that's what Justin says. We were able to recover the bike off the beach. Thanks to some really awesome, we had some awesome, sweet people working for us. They were driving Jeeps and they had Joe haulers on the back. And so they were able to load the bikes up. With a couple times we had to load some bikes up and drag people out. Or the one time the guy on the 3-wheeler, yes, we had an ATC racing in Nora, hit the only tree, like I think within 100 miles, he managed to hit a tree and unfortunately he broke his collarbone. Well, then our guy out of one of the sweet vehicles hopped on and got to ride a 3-wheeler for 50 or 60 kilometers.
Oh, wow.
ATC 250R, they say 3-wheeling's a good feeling.
I got one.
Yeah. Maybe you should do Nora next year.
Yeah.
Tires and all. Victor, that's not very nice. Victor says, you want to read that, George?
I can't.
It says,
Papyrus.
Just enough to burn the clutch. It's a play on words.
Oh.
Just enough to burn the clutch. That's not very nice. So anyways.
Go back up. Is there any other things up there?
No, we answered all the questions.
Sure?
I'm positive. Got them all. There was just about the TSB head and some other stuff. But I'm sure Cycle World will do a really interesting story. They had a big crew down there doing a lot of filming, although I know their main photographer was more interested in the surf conditions, which thank God were horrible the entire time we were going down the peninsula, because otherwise he would have probably just ditched. He probably would have sabotaged Justin's bikes that would break, and then Jeff Allen, who's I've worked with before, a really good friend of mine, he would have taken that van and beelined it straight to the break. and no photos, just surfing. So, by the way, man, there's some awesome breaks down there. Just don't end up in the bottom of a well. So, anyways, okay, so that's it. George, you have any? Oh, we should probably talk about what we're doing at Dirt Bike Test.
I don't know what you're doing at Dirt Bike
Neither
Test.
do I. Trevor does stuff. I should probably talk to Trevor, but he called me the other day, but I got the information from somebody else that I needed to get from him. So I don't know what Trevor's doing. He's probably doing some really awesome stuff.
Content keeps trickling out of there.
Yeah, I have been riding an AJP 650, 600, 650. What is that thing?
I don't know.
It's an AJP.
4 something.
No, it's 600. It's big. It's a big bore. I think 650. I forgot because I didn't think about it too much. But been riding that a bunch, playing around with it. It's a modern day XR 650. I'm actually pretty impressed with that thing. I've been testing moose balls, the foam insert moose balls. I've been testing the air moose. So I've been doing
What's an air moose? Explain that.
Air moose is just another moose. It's a moose, but it's called air moose, and it's lighter. It's supposedly lighter than the other ones. So I've been testing that. I've been testing some Bulletproof Designs wheel sets. So all these things were on my bikes when I've been riding around down in a bunch in Baja. So I've just been putting time on them and paying attention to how they work. And then the counter shocks. You know about this. Mm-hmm. So it's an inertial damper that mounts up on the fork. And I kid you not, the more I use that thing in certain conditions, like in the choppy rocks and on the UTV bumps and stuff like that, the more and more impressed I am about it. And I'm actually now starting to do a little. So in the beginning, I took it on and off and put it on some bikes, different bikes. And now I've had it on a bike for a long time. And so I was testing some other stuff, but now I'm really confident how this bike works. Now I'm going to pull it off and then I'll have my final analysis of it. But overall, if you're riding on like rocky, choppy stuff, I really want to get it mounted on my Tenere is where I really want to mount it. It's a little difficult with the fork guards and some different things, but I don't really want to cut anything yet. But if it works as good as it does, I'm willing to cut stuff to get it on there. So that's kind of a cool thing. So, yeah.
Is there a short film or video coming out for Nora, I guess is what Victor's talking about?
I'm sure Ducati will put something out. I'm sure that Cycle World will put something out. So, yeah.
Should be a lot of content coming out with you in it, shouldn't there?
No, not my content. No. I'm trying to squash that on the internet. So I'm trying to keep my content down to a minimum. Evidently, it's out there. Hey, if you see any good videos of me out on the internet, please send them to me. Yeah, send them back, and not the one where I'm dressed up like a girl on that fan page thing.
You know, I looked just today. I looked up all-wheel drive adventure bike.
Right, somebody steal that video. Yeah, well, the one that Jim shot. The one that Jim shot.
And that's the one you should have monetized. 3.5 million views.
Yeah, I'm
unreal.
Yeah, slap the like button. I'm going to do better content stuff. So I got, like I said, we're going to.
Can't let you.
No, you pour your own.
Oh,
you're a bartender.
Well,
don't drop it.
Was.
There we go. So, anyways, June 7th for Cycle World video. Wow, you guys are on a schedule.
Cool.
That's super professional, Justin. Hey, I should probably get you. You want to call into the show right now? Just give me a nod in the chats, and I can probably text you somehow. I have a thing here. George, carry the show.
Carry the show where? So anyway, we were on a little pause for some legal issues, and lots going on. Like I said, been to Texas. Justin's good for calling in. Does he have your number? Your
I'm
phone
working on
should
that
be
right
ringing.
now. Yeah, hopefully he'll call in because I'd like to get his take on the whole thing because I probably told the story wrong.
Oh, no doubt. You always there's
I don't like to talk about myself much, but
there's one side of the story, the other side of the story, and then Jimmy's version of the story.
Here we go. That's it. Hold on. Justin Dawes, you're live on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, the worst podcast that talks about motorcycle products and things related to motorcycles on the internet. How are you doing?
How's it going, Jimmy?
I'm doing awesome.
Good.
So
I'm sitting here at home just replaying all of the Nora 1000 and all the mistakes I made, and how I could do a better job next year.
okay, so this was your first rally raid event.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
first time riding a V-Strom 800 in heavy dirt conditions.
Yes. Yeah. The only other time I've ridden the V-Strom 800 was at a press launch in Sardinia, which is basically like dirt roads, fire roads, and that was it. That's what they called off-roading. And
from wine to cheese to wine to cheese to grapes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. To espresso to espresso to espresso.
Right on. Hey, well, congratulations. You did really good. I was like, when I remember when they said, hey, there's a bike that's like lagging behind, and oh no, that bike stopped. And then I'm like, oh, who was it? And I'm like, oh shit, 323, that's Justin. And I'm like, I'm like looking at where it was, and I'm going, if he made it through the stuff right before that in the first, place where you had to come off the beach, I'm like, how did, I've just kind of like going, how did that happen? And, but
yeah,
now we know.
It was just a little tricky spot where there was a kind of a steep, soft little dune with a lip at the top, and it was kind of bowled out, and it was coming right up on the mileage marker to make a left turn towards the beach. And I was like, is that the turn? And I slowed down just a little bit too much instead of carrying on for another 100 yards, which I should have trusted my trip meter better, and I didn't. But that cost me getting stuck. It took me a while to get out, and I had someone help push me, and we finally got out. And just like you said, the clutch expanded. I didn't think about adjusting my clutch when I got out of that spot, and I pinned it down the beach, and it fried it. And when I went to turn out, I was done.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because just having ridden so many different bikes over the years, and I'm really familiar with the bikes and this is good since we're Tech Talk, I'll talk about this. So when you have a clutch that when it expands, it makes the lever get tighter. In other words, your free play at the lever on a cable clutch goes away. It basically, it tightens up, and then it's almost like you're pulling the clutch in ever so slightly. So in low horsepower situations, they don't slip. But when you're going down a beach, pulling a twin cylinder bike down a beach, and you're able to get on it, which you were, it's just slipping just that little bit, and then it gets hotter and hotter, and then it can't clamp, and then of course it fries. Yeah,
it fried. It actually melted down the aluminum on one of the fiber plates completely. Like it was gone, completely gone. It was pretty wild how quickly, but big power, heavy bike, lots of traction, like all the pieces of that equation are there to totally melt down a clutch. And, a couple days earlier when we went through all the camel grass and stuff into the dunes, I think it was day 3. When I got to the end of that section, I checked the clutch and it was a little tight, and I was like, oh, I got to keep an eye on this. And I was just so hyped to get out, and I'm stuck, and I just totally screwed up, and I blew it. It was a total mistake on my part, more than anything else. And, I know we've been around the sand dunes together, and, you let the clutch out and you don't work the clutch in the sand, you let it out, and you modulate the power with your throttle. But I was so stuck. I was stopped, and I was going, stopping. It wasn't right. It wasn't.
Oh, it doesn't
trying to meter the clutch through something.
Yeah, it does not take that much to heat up a clutch, especially like you said, when the wheel.
Not at all.
You think about how much load that wheel has when it's really stuck in the sand, and then if you've either got to use a lot of power, and even when you go from 0 miles an hour to dropping that clutch, it's going to spin for a certain amount of time. The clutch is going to spin until that power gets transferred through the clutch into the tire. And I joke at my classes I always ask people, because I'm like, everybody's seen people fry their clutches in the sand. And I'm like, how do how do you fry the clutch in the sand when your tire's always spinning? If your tire's spinning, why would you be slipping the clutch? And in reality, in the grand scheme of things, is because when you disengage the power, like right when you let go of it, that's when that tire finally gets some traction and starts going. But we're not really talking about like a racing situation here where you're just like, I got to get this freaking bike out of this deep sand like right now. and then which way am I going and what am I doing? And the hype of a race situation is completely different. And in reality, like when I work with guys, half of what we're working on is getting them to manage themselves, getting comfortable in those situations. As opposed to like, oh my God, I'm racing, I got to go. It's like, no, you treat it like everything else that, you gotta worry about the machine or your energy level. I know this from getting stuck in sand dunes on my BMW. I was worried about my heart rate.
Yeah. That was one of the big learnings of this whole thing for me is, I've raced all kinds of bikes too, and in all types of conditions. And this type of racing is so cerebral, and you have to think, and if you're making a mistake, you have to stop and you have to think about what's going wrong and how you can fix it, and not just try to power through it. Because if you try to power through it, you're going to screw up and you're going to make it worse. And, the first day, I had never done a road book rally before. I had done videos and I had done training, but I had not done any riding training. So the first time I looked down at an actual road book.
Did you play the Dakar game?
Yeah. I did. I played the Dakar game a lot.
I need to play that.
A lot.
I want to try it.
It's actually not bad. I mean, it's good. It helped me read the book quickly because it's on like a 1/5 scale. So when it says, something is 2 kilometers away, it shows up in like 15 seconds. And you're like, what the hell is that? What's going on here? So that helped. But at the same time, I did the thing that probably every person that's learning to do a roadbook navigation does is, you screw up one section and you just keep pushing ahead and you're like, oh, this kind of matches up, but now it's a 10th early and now it's 2 tenths late. And you're like, but it's still a left and it's still a right. So I think I'm still good. And then suddenly you're completely lost. And that's what I did the first day. And I got like 12th place for the day. And I was like, oh man. And then each day I got better at reading the road book. And then, day 3, I think I was 5th or 8th or something. And then I got to 5th. And then, so day 5, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm improving. I'm getting better. I can put on a good showing on this bike, this big, heavy motorcycle. And that got me, was the excitement of me trying to do well. If I had just calmed down, it would have been fine, but I didn't. And I blew it. I'm guilty of making those mistakes in the past. It's normal. So how was that thing actually? It was surprisingly good. The stock V-Strom 800DE is kind of the middle of the road parallel twin adventure bike. Like, it's really good on the street. It's doable on the dirt, but it's not anything extreme like a KTM 890 or even as agile as a T7.
Yep.
But I know adventure bikes. I know what modifying bikes, and so I did the things I thought would be right. And we honestly did not ride the bike until after tech inspection. We went out in the hills and rode the bike, and I was like, thank God I got it right.
Yeah.
And we did some clicker settings, and that was it. And I mean, it was a little soft. I definitely want stiffer springs in it so I can go through some of the whoop-de-doos better and stuff like that. But overall, it was 95% of my 790 adventure rally bike that I had built 2 years prior.
Oh, awesome.
It was really, really impressive. And that engine is really fun. That engine has so much grunt compared to every other parallel twin that it feels more dirt bikey because it has so much pop off the bottom instead of having to rev it out.
Yeah, I've always been.
It was really surprising how good it was.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of the V-Strom motors. I mean, even like my favorite street bike, road racing bike, believe it or not, was an SC650. Which people go, what? And I'm like, it's just good. It's just good power, and kind of fun. But yeah. So so you ended up just replacing that. You were able to replace the clutch, and then the bike was fine after that.
Yeah, we basically the good part about the way the engine is set up is that below the clutch, there's a shelf, and then it goes straight down in the oil pan, and there's no way for anything to get basically into anything else. So we were able to pull the smoke clutch out, put a new one in. We flushed out the oil pan, put it all back together, and everything was great. And then it ran awesome the next day.
So couple tricks for in the future. Let's just say you're in Mexico, you're on the beach, and you're completely no support truck, no thing. If this happens, you need to get your clutch. You can let the bike cool down. You can pull it. You remember all that, the fishing line, all the rope and the nets and stuff like that. So what you can do is you pull your clutch apart and you get a bunch of that shit, and you use find a nice piece of rope, and you can wrap it around in the clutch and pack it back together, and that will actually get you out. You got to be careful.
The old
it'll plug
the
up
old
the
leather bootstrap trick.
It'll plug up the oil filter pretty quick. But it can get you out and get you going. And then if you really need to make it work, you can, if you, let's say you're down there now, you just ride back on the highway. You can actually take the you can stack the aluminums. I've actually bent the aluminum plates before in a clutch that was completely smoked, and then packed it back together. And then I had a clutch. It was like a tractor clutch. It was like and bang, and it would go. But it would actually go, and I could ride the bike out of where I as long as I wasn't using the clutch, it would kind of get the bike and kind of keep pulling it. So since this is Tech Talk, and we always like to learn from our bad experiences, those are some of the things we can do. And none other than Malcolm Smith told me this. He was down in Baja pre-running once. And his Husky smoked a clutch. He found an old VW that was broken down on the side of the thing, and he had tin snips, and he cut a plate out of the body of the car that locked the clutch. And he managed to make it so it had fingers in it, and he beat it and got it and smashed it into the clutch and locked his clutch, and he was able to get his bike out of wherever the heck he was at that time. That was actually, he told me that on a Cycle World story where I rode with him and Daniel Laporte and Gary Jones and Kenny Jones, and we rode all over the Baja Peninsula on dual sport bikes for a test.
Yeah, it's super rad.
Yeah, the fun things you get to do as a magazine guy.
It's an awesome job for sure, and I'm already figuring out ways for next year. And it sounds like I may be doing some other rallies as well. I may go to Sonora Rally as well this year. So I'm totally hooked. I love the thinking aspect of it, and to me, it feels so much. This is probably not the right word, but safer in Baja racing a rally than doing the 500 to 1,000 where you're pinned all the time. Like you get it. You get a warning. Like you get a danger, and you get a speed limit when things can be sketchy, and there can be cross traffic, and it takes a lot of that apprehension out for me. Racing that quickly on something that heavy in Baja, it was absolutely incredibly fun to ride, even when I was suffering. And I would say it's one of the funnest motorcycle races I've probably ever done in my life.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I mean, that's why Nora got a hold of me, is they wanted to make it. They were having a lot of problems with motorcycle riders getting injured and stuff. And it's a lot of things that it just has to do with the way that Rally Nav is. When you go to the road book, all of a sudden, there's no pre-running. So you're not alerting the people that there's going to be a race at some time, because then they will come. So there was places where they knew you were coming, but not like in Score, where they're
no, definitely not.
And then the course kind of doesn't get beat up because there's 30, 40 motorcycles going past it. It's not really kind of an impact. And then since you're kind of going slower because you are having to navigate, I mean, you can still go fast, between the notes, you're going really fast. But the reason you can go fast there is because you're just doing your terrain reading. And I always say it's kind of it's sort of like a pre-run, but you're doing it in race conditions. In other words, you have you have the infrastructure of the race that's there that's allowing you to do this, but since you're kind of stopping each day and you still have to train read, you haven't memorized this section of course, and it allows like some variation where lines get developed, like Matt was talking earlier, in these big sand washes. Yeah. If it was a marked course or it was a GPS line, everybody would ride the same line. It would turn to crap. But now that the bikes are all fanned out over this distance, you hardly, we're just spreading flower seeds. It's going to be beautiful down there next year.
Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, it was awesome. And that I knew exactly what sand wash he was talking about. And the same thing, because I was jumping the same thing. I was like, I think I'm too far right now. I'm going to move over one sand wash to the left, and then that was getting pretty far over too, and the cap heading's changing quite a bit. All right, I'm going to move over one more, and then I was online, and and then we hopped up onto the road out of that big wash, but on day 2. But really like. I want to do some more stuff with Cycle World and help promote, especially the Nora 1000 rally race for bikes, because it's epic, and it's everyone that races desert should be doing this. Yeah. I don't understand why you want to go pin it and pre-run run the same section 8 days in a row to race it the 9th day and go balls to walls when you can do this, and it's so much more enjoyable. Maybe that's just we're getting old. I don't know.
No, I guess I did get old, and then I started riding rally, and I realized, why did I do? I mean, I know why I did all the other stuff, but once you you don't really want to go back. So
no, definitely not.
We're preaching to the choir here, so we'll stop. But anyways, George, you got any questions for Justin?
No, not really. It just I'm happy for you, because a lot of the things you've been saying over the last couple of years about this rally, these guys are confirming it. It was good. And you got these top dogs like Matt, all the way back to, your neighbor, my friend Jeremy, and kind of, everybody, and they're completing it and having a good time.
Right. Even some of those guys in the vintage bikes, which I think those guys got in way over their head. With some of those bikes and some of their riding abilities and stuff, and that's where and I appreciate the feedback you gave me when I did send the thing out to the racers and stuff, and I definitely will talk to you about that. We do want to have more of a safari class for motorcycles to allow them to come back, because I mean one of the coolest things about Nora is some of the historic and older vehicles, and I mean that XT 500 that was a cool bike, and the guy that
thing was cool. That guy was ripping. That guy was ripping. He was doing well.
One of them. I think there was 4 guys riding that bike. Yeah. I don't know, because
one of the guys.
He was just sleeping underneath a tree when we came out to get him, and it was like, when we got him, and like, what's wrong? His bike doesn't start. I'm like, it doesn't start. So we loaded. He goes, no, I'll start it, and he started it, and then he rode back in. I'm like, what?
Okay, the guy that he started ahead on, I don't know what day it was, and it was probably the second day, and so I caught him, and I was like, "Is that XT? Like,
how did you get up here?
How did he get up here?" But I think it was the third day, because he went around the sand dunes. He took the shortcut around the sand dunes, right, the opt-out section, and then so he was in front of me, and I was like, but it took, like, he wasn't that guy was not going that slow, and I gave him the thumbs up as I finally got by him. I was like, "You're doing awesome, dude!" Like, I gave him props when I saw him at the end of the day, because that would not be a fun ride to be going real super fast on
that course. It wouldn't be that bad. I mean, definitely there's, I don't ride vintage bikes. I like to ride a vintage bike about a mile. And because generally they're not short of power, but the brakes really suck. And then they handle like who knows what. But it's just like, okay, now I remember what it was like, and there's a reason why we make better ones, and I'm going to ride the better ones.
Exactly.
And the guy, the guy that customized that XR 400 thing, that was a whole nother.
Oh yeah.
That was a whole nother. Like,
that was quite wild.
I'm kind of hoping he rode it home, like on the street, because he had the street tires on it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then the poor.
Anyway,
the poor guy in the Honda MR 175.
I saw that on the track, guy on a 175.
I think his points went out or something like that in his ignition, like his ignition fried or something. Yeah. And I mean, I'm hoping that it was because the thing is like 40 years old. I'm hoping that's why it went bad, because I think if that bike was brand new, just rolled off the assembly line, I don't think there was anything on that course that would prevent that bike from riding it, in my head.
No, I don't think so either. No. The course was it was really fun. I mean, there was difficult sections, especially on a big head. My bike weighed 473 pounds full of gas. So there were some sections that were difficult for a big bike. But at the same time, like, there was a lot of like really nice virgin trail that was really bitchin'. I think there was just a few places where there were some whoops and stuff where I was like, oh yeah, I need to make this thing stiffer here. And there was a few, places where we were going kind of cross grain to the rain reps and stuff where I was blowing through the shock pretty hard, trying to chase down the guy who was in front of me on an XR650. And I just watched him kind of like just pull away at like 5 miles an hour faster than me all the way across the desert. And I could see him for, 5 miles just getting further and further. And I was like, but it was all I could do, and I was like, if it was just a little stiffer, I could catch him, but I couldn't. So.
Do you know what? Be careful with that. Just having spent a lot of time on adventure bikes and trying to make them work, because if you make the shock stiffer, you'll find out that the swing arm and the frame isn't stiff enough for that, or the rims, or something like that. I would say if you're bending the rims in those things, you got to watch out. Hey, do you know what Alexander Smith's bike weighed? His Ducati.
Yes, it weighed 10 pounds more than mine.
Oh, really?
483.
Wow.
Yeah.
He made it look lighter than
stock, that. Yeah, his bike was much more stock than my bike was. Obviously, stock. The V-Strom weighed 507 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
so I pulled 34 pounds out of that bike, where I think they only pulled like 5 or 10 off of the Ducati.
Yeah.
So that Desert X is a rad. The Desert X Rally, that's a rad bike, and he had a nice machine to start with.
Yeah, no,
I had a little more work cut out for me.
Yeah, I was super stoked to see twin cylinders. Like I said in some of the videos your guys shot when they were kind of wrapping it up. I'm like, there's a soft spot in my heart for someone that's willing to try a rally bike, because a twin cylinder rally bike. Because when I was riding the single cylinder rally bike in Dakar, it's on video. They were filming with the helicopter, and I'm like going really fast. I thought it was really fast at the time on the single cylinder bike. And I'm like going, I don't know why anybody would want to ride a twin cylinder bike. I can't see how you'd want to be going any faster than this. And I really said I would probably never ride a twin cylinder bike. And then I rode one.
And we're looking on his laptop, this bitchin' photo of Jimmy.
My screensaver on
his blue Galois cigarette sponsored bike. Maybe the Canadian can get a cigarette sponsor.
Maybe you get a cig sponsor. Yeah. Hey, they're cigarettes for children.
Ours.
His was Camel.
Had hints of cigarette sponsors. His
was a. Yeah, he had the kind of the Camel logo on the Suzuki. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I got a sticker. I'll get you one. George will sponsor you next year.
I'll get you more.
Yeah,
no problem. Yeah, awesome. We've got some shirts and stuff too. So.
Cool. Are you back in Costa Rica? Or are you still in the States?
No, I'm in Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, I flew home from Cabo to Costa Rica.
Oh.
So.
Oh, you made your support crew do all the work, getting all the stuff back.
Factory rider, dude.
Full factory.
Life of a factory rider.
Factory magazine. Yeah, enjoy it.
That's right.
So awesome.
Yeah. They all took time. Jeff stopped and surfed a bunch. I think everyone kind of like took like 4 or 5 days to get the peninsula and enjoyed the trip back home. So
cool.
They all had fun going home.
Well, hey Justin, thanks a ton for calling in and giving us a little update on how your thing went. And we will, I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, thanks again for running an awesome race. It was honestly one of the best races I've ever done in my life, and I've raced all kinds of things in all kinds of places, and this was one of the best.
Cool, thanks a lot. I really do appreciate that. Okay, Justin, Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
We started a little late, but we're coming up on 2 hours.
Yeah, Justin Dawes from Cycle World. I can't call it magazine anymore. They're just Cycle World now.
It's a digital.
It's a digital
publication.
thing. So they do videos and they do print. No, they do content, lots of different stuff. So I was Cycle World for 12 years. I was the off-road editor. Actually, I was the shop boy. I started as a shop boy and worked my way up to being the off-road editor, where I was responsible for doing like 1 or 2 pages a month was my job description. And then the internet's ruined my job. So look at me now. I'm just an internet whore.
You are.
So everybody, hey, thanks for joining back in. Slap the like button, share this with your friends. We're going to keep Tech Talk Taco Tuesday going, maybe not in the same regular format, but maybe a little bit more interview format like we were just doing. I got something better for the super tech stuff.
Much
better. It's going to be awesome. So,
would you say the new format's going to be
what's it going to be?
More interactive, or
More
is it going to be live? Are you planning on being live?
I think it's going to be live. I think it's going to have a very interactive component to it. Like the questions will be answered in real time, and in that way, and it'll be, I gotta make it so it's like less work on the front end and the back end. To get it working. So that's why the show will be tits.
I think it will be.
Yeah. Okay.
Your plan's pretty good.
Okay. So with that, everybody, Mark Daniels, it's great to see you back, buddy. And I cannot express how much the Tintenegro is a good tequila. It was worth almost having to pay a 40% import duty on this one for sure. And how many moto classes are there in NORA for the 1000? So we have a listen to this. So we have a pro rally and an amateur rally, which are no ages, no bike restrictions, ride whatever you want. Then we have a 50 class, a 60 class, and a vintage class. And vintage is pre-1999. And then we have a 3-wheeler class. Actually, it's open to quads, believe it or not. So it's 3 and 4-wheel class. So those are the motorcycles. We're talking about doing a twin cylinder class. We're talking about doing an XR class. So it'll include any bike that was designated by Honda as an XR. You can ride it in this class. So these are things we're all talking about for next year. But hey, congrats to I'm like I usually do with names, Larry. I can't remember his name. 69 years old, finished 4th overall.
Sounds like you're going to need a 70s class if he comes back.
You could do the 70 class, but we're not going to do a 70 class. But I'm really racking my brain trying to remember Larry's name. But 69 years old, 4th overall. And you know how he did it? Jake Augie-Bright navigation training. Yeah, so Jake, Dakar finisher, Jake Augie-Bright, he sponsors Jake when Jake goes and does Dakar. So Jake was down there being his support bitch and helping him out and everything, kept him in line. And
Jake was part of the Jimbo program for a
Jake's
little while.
been on the Jimbo program a little bit. Yep, he makes beautiful road books. Like they're not that good, but they're beautiful because he's a graphic design guy. Cool. I'm just teasing. So, anyways, Road Racer 3 says, thoughts on a Suzuki RMZ as a dual sport? RMZ 250. It's a 2-stroke. Yeah. Probably not the best for a dual sport. Just go buy a Yamaha. By the way, this podcast brought to you by all my favorite sponsors. We've had them for a long time. Of course, Double Take mirrors. Hey, have you seen the new Double Take mirrors?
Yeah, got its own thing.
Dude, so good.
You got one?
Yeah, I've been testing them. Actually, I had them on my bike when I was down in Baja.
Are they as forgiving as the ball? Well,
they're
a little more
they're actually making their own arm that has better gripping and their own ball mounting that has a little bit bigger diameter, and it really works good. So Double Take mirrors, check them out. Email if you want a special code for those guys. Of course, Taco Moto, Scott Sports, Climb. Man,
I got to order some stuff from them right now.
Right. It's good time because they got a lot of stuff. They're getting caught back up in stock, but some of the new casual stuff like I'm wearing tonight is super awesome. And the vented gear, it's coming in season here. And let me tell you, the new XC Pro stuff, which I actually helped them develop. It's been like 3 years working on this stuff, just getting it right. It's sweet. It is really good. DDC, our very first sponsor, DDC chain wheels. Of course, there's Trail Tech. I'm using the Voyager Pro all the time, and Fasst Company for their flex handlebars, and the spoke torque wrench, which I'm using on my Bulletproof Designs wheels to check to make sure that those spokes are staying tight, which they are. So Bulletproof Designs making protection for your bike. These companies, I support them because they support me, and I wouldn't use them if they weren't that all they're supposed to be. Hot Shoe Hall of Fame. I got inducted to that thing, but I also won the Champion of Champions race. So just like to go out on a high note where I talk about myself a little bit more. It wasn't enough gratuitous praise in the show.
I don't live here, but I think I have my gold medal.
Your gold medal up there.
Gene Woods hot.
Okay, and so now we're not talking about me anymore. I guess we're gonna have to end the show. Thank you guys for joining in, and we will see you out on the trail. So cheers. Now I have to find out which button I push to make this show go away. There's a button I push and it makes the show go away.
You sure it did?
I don't. It's not yet, but give me a second here. There's one thing here that says, look at right there. Thanks for watching.
Is our audio still going out there?
Yeah, probably. Don't say anything bad.